Okay, I have 6 o'clock. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. I'd like to call the June 2nd, 2020 Village Board meeting to order. At this time, I'd like Jen Conan, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, John. Allison, would you please do roll call?
Certainly. Trustee Cook.
Here.
Trustee Lundy.
Here.
Trustee Heron.
Here.
Trustee Walter.
Here.
Trustee Montalto.
Here.
Trustee Conan.
Here.
President Michaels.
Here. Okay. Well, thank you all again for being here. We have one resident here that would like to make a public comment under the public comment section. So I just have one resident in attendance. Public hearings, I'd like to open up the public hearings regarding the annexation agreement amendment for Hannaford Farms lot number 127 and a similar agreement, annexation agreement amendment for Hannaford Farms lot 131. Any public comment on these annexation agreements? Okay, I'll close that portion of the board meeting. Appointments and presentations. There's no appointments or presentations tonight. Public comments. We have two callers. Is there any caller that would like to make a public comment? I'll ask a second time. Would any callers like to make a public comment? And I'll ask one more time. Any callers want to make a public comment? Okay, I'll close that section. A caller just joined us. We're doing public comments. You recently joined us by phone. Would you like to make any public comments?
No, sir. Thank you for asking.
Okay, thank you. All right. Resident that's in attendance, would you like to make a public comment?
Joe Wolf, I think it was a big mistake to de-annex. It was your last chance to deal with Crown, to bring them to the table. They would have sued, but eventually they would have sat down and negotiated with you and to drop the suit. You have to stand up to them. We need broader tax base. My taxes went up $878 this year. My neighbors went up $600. We can afford it, but there's other families that can't, that are making $30,000 and $40,000 and trying to live in Sugar Grove. And where is the interest in increasing the tax base? There is none. You've given raises to everyone this year. You said everyone's done a good job. How can you say everyone's done a good job when Crown has left? Someone in charge ought to be fired. The Plan Commission allowed mobs to take over and run this town to the ground, and everybody runs scared. It's about time somebody stood up to Crown and fought him and said, we are here, that's our land, it belongs to us. I know you give it up, it's too late, but this is no way to run a village. It's a shame that it's come to this. You 7 people better wake up. You better figure it out how to solve this, because this is a disaster. People's heads will roll in any other situation, and yet nobody's to blame. Everybody takes credit. You stood up for what you believed. You kept your word, and Crown is gone. Is that when Crown is going to come back someday, somehow, and they are going to put warehouses on that property? You better believe it, because that's what goes there. So somebody better wake up and get off your high horse and start living in the real world that the rest of us people that aren't rich and have to struggle to earn a living. You know, there's probably some woman in town working for $12 an hour that's trying to feed her family and isn't getting a raise. It just wants more hours to feed her family, and you people don't give a damn.
Okay. Time's up. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Any other public comments? No one else is here at the Village Hall, so I'll close that portion. Airport report?
Yes. We haven't had a meeting since February, and our June meeting has been canceled. They may have one in August, but, you know, everything's up in the air with Aurora. They're canceling all meetings, and they said we may have one in August and we may not. So that's where it stands right now. I did talk to Steve at the airport. There has been over the years some drainage problems that they're working with the drainage district to correct. They have come into some money, and they're going to work on some of their drainage problems with the money they have. There is also one new business that's starting. The planning is starting up. It's going to be a business that takes flyers that already are good flyers and teach them aerobatics flying.
Really?
And I'm not sure what aerobatics flying is, although it's probably some fancy flying where you do some loops. But but it won't be beginners. It'll be experienced flyers that want to go to the next level, and it's going to be, my understanding, just a small business, but it wants to come to Sugar Grove Airport.
Great.
So if there's not a lot going on at the airport, and without meetings, I can't come and give you reports. So that's the best I can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you doing that. Okay. I'll close the airport report. Under the consent agenda, I'd like to get a motion to approve the consent agenda. Under tonight's consent agenda, we have approval of the minutes, approval of the vouchers, a resolution approving a professional service agreement for Dugan Road sanitary sewer extension, resolution approving a road agreement with Rich Harvest Farms, an ordinance amending an agreement for Hannaford Farms Lot 127, ordinance amending the annexation agreement for Hannaford Farms Lot 131, a resolution updating the anti-harassment discrimination policy. May I get a motion to approve that consent agenda?
This is Rick. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Trustee Herron, second. Any requests to remove an item from the consent agenda? One more time, any request to remove an item from the consent agenda? Hearing none. Allison, would you please do roll call?
Yes. Trustee Montalto?
Aye.
Trustee Herron?
Aye.
Trustee Conan?
Aye.
Trustee Walter?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries to approve the consent agenda. Did we get everybody? Allison? Okay. All right. Okay. The consent agenda is approved. Under general business, may I get a motion to approve an ordinance granting the special use for a catering kitchen at 60 Maple Street?
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Second by trustee Montalto. Walter, do you mind?
Sure. The long and short of it is we have a party that's interested in establishing a catering kitchen in the building that was formerly occupied by the Catering Gourmet. The Catering Gourmet also had a special use permit for the catering kitchen, but because the use has been discontinued for as long as it has, the special use permit's expired. So that's why we're doing the special use permit again. As I indicated in the board report, we're doing this a little bit different because there's some sense of urgency to get the final decision from the village board because the applicant has lost the lease on their current location and they need to relocate, and they've selected this building to do so. The Planning Commission held the public hearing. We did have the public did participate in that meeting, and believe it or not, they were actually in support of the proposed use of the building. And the Planning Commission recommended approval with a couple of conditions that the applicant offered in response to questions that the Planning Commission had about the operation.
Okay. Any questions for Walter?
Walter, do you know if they kept all their equipment in there when they closed Catering Gourmet? I know she just retired.
I don't know.
Okay. It was set up pretty nice. If no one else had been in there, they had a nice kitchen set up, and it was very well kept and clean. And if they did, it would fall right into line with what this person wants to do.
Yeah, and at times I think they offered meals to residents on a subscription basis. So, they had a nice niche business in town. Any other questions for staff regarding granting a special use ordinance for 60 Maple Street? Okay. Allison, roll call, please.
Trustee Cook,
Aye.
Trustee Montalto,
Aye.
Trustee Heron,
Aye.
Trustee Walter,
Aye.
Trustee Lendy, she's frozen. Okay,
Yes.
Trustee Conan.
Aye.
Okay, I see her words. Trustee Lendy, you are on mute, Heidi.
Yeah, I try. I'm sorry. I'm having problems with
Okay.
my internet a little bit here. Aye.
Okay, thank you.
We have to get used to this technology. Okay. That motion carries. Thank you all. Okay.
Thank you.
Motion to approve a resolution ratifying an executive order regarding dining during the pandemic. This is to, thank you, Rick. Second?
Second.
I'll second.
Second by trustee Heron. This is to ratify the executive order that was signed last week in order to allow the local restaurants to open their dining during this pandemic. Any questions for staff? Okay. Roll call, please. Allison?
Trustee Montalto,
Aye.
Trustee Heron,
Aye.
Trustee Conan,
Aye.
Trustee Lendy,
Aye.
Trustee Cook,
Aye.
Trustee Walter.
Aye.
That motion carries. There are no discussion items. Brent, is there anything that you'd like to add for discussion items?
Nope, I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay. Questions for staff? Any questions for staff?
The only question I have is for either Brad or Tony, whoever has the intel. I saw the list that went out today of everything that's going on with all the digging out of curbs and sidewalks and pouring and stuff. How long will driveways be closed after they pour the curbs? Is it like a 1 day, 2 day, 3 day process to dry?
So they're not supposed to be taking driveways out of service unless they have a planned pour within the same day. So once they're out, once the driveways are out, even once they're poured, they still have to cure. So I would assume a max of a week, but it should be sooner and quicker. But you have to let that concrete cure.
Right, yeah, because there are a number of, mine's one of them. They tore out the curb and crossed my entire driveway, and there's a trench that's, about a foot deep, and one of my cars is in the garage, the other one's on the street, but I was just curious because they dug it out yesterday, and sounds like they'll be pouring within the next 3 days, but I was just curious because there are a number of driveways affected.
Yeah, so then I can follow up with our resident engineer as well and just make sure that's happening. So.
Okay.
Rick, I think a week is good as long as you don't park on it. You can drive across it, but if you can avoid parking on that apron or that location for nearly a month, that's the best.
Yeah, it's not the apron that's the issue, it's just the curb.
Yeah,
so if you're just going over the curb, if you give it 48, 72 hours, that's enough time?
Yeah, at least 4 days.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we could ask Trustee Walter. Ryan, you probably are expert on concrete, right?
The numbers, yes. I can help where I can.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions for staff? There is a lot of road work going around town. We ask residents to be patient, and what I've seen in the past is, there's a little sacrifice up front, but once the roads are repaved, it really improves the community, and you'll see a lot of people put more money into their homes. So we ask for their patience and hope it all works out well. The weather looks good for the next week or so to get it done. Okay. Any other questions? Listen, 47. Tony, did the streetlights people show up today or?
Yes, the traffic signal contractor was there today, and they're working on the conduit, and they'll be there tomorrow and the day after. So hopefully they can get most of their work done by the end of this week.
And then traffic will be switched a little to the north then, once that's done?
Correct. Yes, this is currently stage 1, and stage 2 switches the sides of the street. So right now they completed the whole north half of Bliss Road and Wheeler Road. And then when they switch it, as they're working with these traffic signals, then they'll switch it to the south side of the street for the next part of the construction.
Okay, good. Okay, any other questions for staff?
I just want to ask Pat, how is his staff holding up?
Thank you. So far, we're doing okay. We'll see as the week goes by because we're implemented 12-hour shifts for the officers. I know that could be draining. So we're also keeping an eye on it and may send some of the officers home after the 8 hours, but they know they're going to be coming back for a 12-hour shift. So, but thank you for your thoughts on that.
Well, I hope they stay safe.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for all of you sharing the post on our Facebook page late Wednesday or Sunday night. I think in 11 minutes we had nearly 100 likes. So by the board posting or sharing that post, the word got out that there was activity, but things were relatively safe in town. So we'll keep the board apprised of any other posts that hopefully you can share with the residents and your friends on Facebook or any other social media. Okay. Trustee reports. Ryan, anything to report?
Nothing to report. Just want to comment. I received quite a few emails and also questions and comments from the public regarding Crown and the de-annexation. And after responding in length and the facts and the history about the annexation and the option to de-annex and talking about the tax revenue, that's always the sticking point as we heard a public comment tonight. After you talk about the tax revenues that are not there for at least a minimum of 23 years or possibly a minimum of some tax revenues before 23 years. That and just sharing that we are always open to Crown's other ideas, but they weren't open to negotiating with any of the material issues that the public voiced. After sharing that with all these people, they're with no persuasion, their opinions change. And so the facts and just it's a complex topic, but once the public really wants to sit down and understand their opinions and just misconceptions go away. So I've had a lot of positive conversations, but I think we all hope that that'll be developed someday in a agreeable way. So that's all.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Trustee Montalto.
Just a couple quick things. I had an online Convention Bureau meeting Thursday morning. That went well. Things are obviously fairly slow as far as tourism. Raging Waves is not sure they're going to open at all this summer. They were waiting this week. Apparently, there's a decision going to be made by Great America or something, and they were going to kind of market their response after what happens up north in Gurnee. And they were supposed to come up with a decision this week. So along with all the music venues and everything else that's closing for the summer, there's a good chance their water park won't open too. Other than that, I would like to do a shout out to all of our first responders, police, fire, nurses, doctors, everyone that's going, dispatchers, everyone that's going through what they're going through right now. These are trying times and it's a hard job for all of them to do for all the things we're facing. So, there's a lot of people out there supporting you and we wish you all well.
Thank you. Trustee Lindy. Heidi, are you with us? There you go. Heidi. Oh, you're on mute. All right. All right. We'll come back to Trustee Lindy. Trustee Conan, any comments?
I just have a question for Rick, more about Groovin' in the Grove and whether any decisions have been made. I know you said that there were a few concerts in July, and if there's an update to that.
They've all been canceled. We canceled Groovin' in the Grove for the summer. The Corn Boil's been canceled for the summer. We're leaving the money currently in the account that everyone's kicked in. All the agencies have decided that they're fine leaving the money where it's at. We are still going to negotiate with Oswego, but we are a ways away from sitting down to do that because everyone would prefer to do that in person versus, trying to do stuff remotely or sending emails back and forth. And so everything's kind of on hold for right now. But yeah, those events have been canceled for the summer. The bands, the food trucks, everyone involved has been notified and they all understand, and we hope to have them the following season back. And while I'm talking, if I could just jump in, seeing Heidi looks like she's back now, but I wanted to mirror what you said about people, getting through the process of the construction. I can say that I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from people in Howard Point about all the work that's being done, the handicap, ramps in the corners and the sidewalks and curbs and streets. And there are a lot of people when I'm out walking a new puppy that are painting trim on their house and planting stuff in their yard. I actually had a couple of ladies ask me if they could do some work on the monument sign on one of the corners entering the neighborhood because they wanted to cut down some high grass and put flowers. And I had to explain to them that was private property. It's actually someone's yard, and they would have to talk to that person to do it. But there's a lot of people that are really taking stock in the neighborhood because of all the stuff going on. And it's like the old adage about graffiti. If you leave it, things will continue to deteriorate it. If you clean it up, people clean up their homes and the neighborhoods start to get better. And I think I see that happening already here. So.
Good. Thank you, Rick.
All right.
Trustee Lindy, you're back.
Yes, sorry, I moved to a better spot in my house, I guess.
Any public comment?
No, nothing. Just thanks to the police department and our first responders during this time. They're doing a great job.
Thank you. And John, I'm sorry, I didn't come back to you and ask you if you had any other comments.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Yep. Let's see. Trustee Cook.
I should have asked this with the staff questions, but is Village Hall back open yet, or what's the situation there? Brent, are you available?
Yeah, Ted. I mean, we've been open the entire time for all business. The only restriction is that we're not allowing people into the building, but they can enter the vestibule. There has been a phone out there the entire time. They can.
Okay.
So we've been able to conduct really all of our business. The only thing that has changed is so far we're not allowing face-to-face meetings. But same thing out at Community Development Public Works. We've been open the entire time, access to the vestibule. Obviously, we're doing a lot more through phone calls or electronically, but people can, drop materials off. There is a little bit of, like essentially a 24-hour waiting period if they drop off physical paperwork.
But is staff working at the village, at Village Hall? Is staff all there then?
Everybody is not there on a daily basis, but there is at least one person and typically two or three there from, our normal business hours. There's always, somebody present, but we do have, some staff members that are primarily working from home. Just right now, I mean, the layout, it just is, it's working pretty well, maintaining the social distancing and everything, having a few people work from home. And it's really actually been pretty efficient. So, we've been pretty happy with how it's going so far.
Good. Is there a plan to bring everybody back yet?
We're working on kind of on the plan to quote, get back to normal. We're kind of avoiding, call it a reopening plan because we've been open the entire time. But we're obviously following the state guidelines and CDC guidelines and looking at ways to like say return to normal. But we're hoping by sometime well, I guess this month that we can maybe get to our next phase, if you will, of public health. But it's probably going to be a while before everything gets back to usual, just with the, like I say, with the governor's orders and the various phases and CDC guidelines.
Okay. I was just curious what the situation was. Thanks, Brent.
Sure.
It does appear that the Park District will be reopening June 15th. They haven't elaborated on what that means, and we'll find out more in this week or next week, but they plan to open their facilities June 15th, according to an email I received. Okay. Anything else, Ted? Okay.
No, sir.
Trustee Herron, any comments?
Nothing too different than what everyone else said about saying thank you to all the first responders and everything that they're doing extra for the village right now.
Okay. President's report, again, it's been important to get information out to the community, and I appreciate all the trustees' help. Social media can work against us, but it can also work for us by getting word out that things are safe or if there's any events going on. So appreciate any help in getting that message out. We have been in touch with local businesses, primarily Walgreens and Jewel, to keep them posted of any events that are going on in surrounding communities, and they've been willing to work with the police force if need be. So right now, we haven't had to do anything really outside the normal operations, but things can change. So that's about it. Okay, I would like to go to executive session. According to Section 120 of the ILCS, Section 2, Paragraph C8 is the basis for the closed session. It's regarding policing and potential danger to neighborhoods, just to get an incident, talk to the chief about any potential riots or looting that might go on in town. Per exception of the Open Meetings Act, and not take action, and to adjourn from there.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call, please, Allison.
Trustee Montalto?
Aye.
Trustee Herron?
Aye.
Trustee Lundy?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Walter?
Aye.
Trustee Conan?
Aye.
Okay, we have a motion. Allison, did you send a new link for closed session?
I did. I sent an email shortly before this meeting.
Okay. All right. At this time, I'd like to adjourn the meeting, and we will reconvene in closed session. Thank you all for attending. Good night.